Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ebonie if you're new here, and today I'm going to be doing a palette review for you guys. This palette is called Exotic, and I'm going to be doing a review for you guys and a demo. So if you're interested in seeing my thoughts and the look I created with this palette, then just keep on watching. But before you keep watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any time I upload a new video. And without further ado, let's just get into the video. Alright guys, so I was contacted by a makeup company called Prism Makeup, and they sell their palettes on Amazon. And I was like looking at it and I was researching it when they like contacted me and whatnot. And this is, they sent me 3 palettes. So I'm gonna review like all 3 of them on like different at different times, but today I'm gonna be reviewing their exotic palette. Now when I first saw this palette, it reminded me of a high-end makeup palette that I wanted to try, but them coins are like hella expensive. So if you look at this palette, you can see it resembles the NATASHA Denona I think it's the tropical palette. First saw this, I was like, oh my gosh. And you guys, can you believe this palette is on Amazon? It's like, I think it's like $8.50 if you're a Prime member, and I think if you're not, I think maybe it's like 10 something or something like that. But I was like, oh wow, I cannot believe how pretty this palette is and how similar it looks to the NATASHA Denona palette. The first shade I'm going to pick up from this palette, I'm going to use, they have words on their palettes too, so I'm going to use this shade right here. It's called Nudist. I can see it, but it kind of like matches my skin tone, so maybe I'm gonna dip into another shade that I can transition from. Maybe I'm gonna use Indian Clay as a transition shade. Let's see how that goes. Okay, and that's pigmented. All right. Well, that blended out really nicely. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm surprised at the pigmentation of it as well. I'm gonna do Skinny Dip and just put it on top of this to kind of blend it out a little bit. Okay. It's looking kind of grayish on me, kind of looking like an ashy. So I'm gonna go back in with Nudist since that was like really close to my skin tone. Yeah, that looks a lot better. To deepen up my outer crease, because I love me a good outer crease color, I'm gonna use the darkest shade in this palette, darkest matte shade in this palette. It's Earth in my outer corner. Wow. Okay. That's a nice brown. And it's pigmented too, so it's really, really nice. Oh. So far, the shades are pigmented and they are very blendable, so that's not a bad thing. I always have trouble with this eye for some reason. Like, I feel like this side of my eye, with any palette that I use, I always have to pack it on more because my right side is always my best eye. There is a lot of kickback from the painting. If that's something that bothers you guys, I like want to dip into right or Julep. So this is right. That's Julep. Dip into Julep and see how the pigmentation does on its own. And then if it's not up to par like what I think I want it to look like, the intensity, then I'm going to spray it with some primer water. Alright guys, it's very glittery. Okay, so the pigmentation on its own definitely isn't the best, so I'm going to spray my brush. It's a lot of fallout though. Okay. Yeah. It's a pretty shade, but there is so much fallout. I got this package. The julep shade, this julep shade had already like broken a little bit, so I'm not gonna critique it on that, but when I dipped into this pan, like it kind of broke. So yeah, this is like me having it with primer water. But yeah, this is a really pretty shade. I'm gonna go back in that Indian clay and I'm just going to clean this and define this a lot more, define our crease. Okay, so I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, so this is the finished look. You know, so for $8, I think this is a pretty decent palette. Like I said, it's similar to the NATASHA Denona palette, and I mean, far as like, I don't really know how the NATASHA Denona palette works, like, you know, how the formula is, you know, so I really can't compare it to you know, to it like in that aspect of it. But for the color arrangement of the palette, is definitely set up the same as like the NATASHA Denona palette. So for that, it's really, really good. And then they do have names at the bottom of the palette. I don't know if you guys can see the names. They're kind of really, really faint, so I don't think you're able to, you know, see it or whatever. It's a really good thing about it. So I am going to swatch I'm going to swatch the colors for you guys so you can kind of see. It only has like four shimmer shades in this palette. So I'm going to start off with the one that's on my eyelid, which is Julep. So looking like, so yeah, those are the shimmer shades in this palette. So now I'm going to swatch the matte shades. So now I'm going to swatch Terracotta. You guys already see Indian Clay, Nudist, and I'm going to do Earth. So the next shades are Sunset, Bear, Skinny Dip, and Cantaloupe. And the last two shades in this palette are Lagoon, which is this pretty blue, and Lotus, which is this pretty purple. You guys just saw me swatch all 15 shades in this palette. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything negative to really say about the palette, except for, I mean, if fallout bothers you, then you know it's probably not the best palette for you. On me, on my skin tone, one of the shades came off like really ashy, and I think it was Skinny Dip that came off ashy on me, but it's okay because I corrected it with Nudist because it was more of my skin tone. But other than that, I mean, I feel like you really can't go wrong with this type of palette. I mean, it is $8, so if you're trying to save coins then I suggest you getting a palette like this. I really do think it's a nice beginner friendly palette if you're somebody who's like really getting into makeup or starting off in makeup, and you don't want to spend like a hella expensive money like on an expensive palette. Then I definitely say go on Amazon. They have a lot of affordable palettes. There's some palettes that I do want to go get and try out, you know, myself. So be on the lookout for those type of videos too, because I do want to do more videos where I feel like you can get more for your money and type of like affordable palettes like this, because you know not everybody can, you know, afford freaking expensive, you know, palettes all the freaking time. You know what I'm saying? I know we all, you know, love the formulation of a palette, but sometimes you just can't spend that much money on a freaking palette. And speaking of formulation, this is a really nice formula. It's really soft. The eyeshadows are really soft when I pressed down into them and did the swatches. They went on smoothly and whatnot. So I don't really see an issue with that. You know, I mean, I love the fact that it is a dupe for the NATASHA Denona palette, because I want to get that palette so bad. But y'all, that palette is $125. I'm like, god damn. And I feel like that palette is like hella expensive. The thing that I'm going to point out is that this brown, earth brown in this palette, that's the only thing I don't like about it, is that this brown isn't as dark as I would like it to be. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't work for anybody else, you know. So, but this brown for me personally, I don't like these types of browns. They're like really light on me, and I don't really like how the way they look. Sometimes they look a little bit like muddy. I like more of a kind of like an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, the Cypress Umber. That is the perfect brown for me if I'm going to be doing like a darker, softer type of smoky, you know, eyes. I don't like the brown in this palette, but that's just my personal preference. Just because I don't like that brown doesn't mean that you guys don't like that brown, but that's just me. But yeah, other than that, I really don't have anything like negative to say about this palette. I do want to thank Prism Makeup for sending me this palette to try out and review for you guys. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm very grateful. You know, definitely find this palette on Amazon. Like I said, I think it's like $8 something if you're like a Prime member, and if you're not a Prime member, it's like 10 something. So yeah, but yeah, the makeup look came out pretty good. For $8, it did what it was supposed to do. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching my videos, and be on the lookout for more videos like this. You know, like I said, I'm gonna go on Amazon. I'm going to find like cheaper and nicer alternative palettes that I think you guys, you know, will be happy about if you don't want to fork out all the money for these types of palettes and stuff, you know. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, this is a very nice affordable palette if you're starting off in makeup. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Blessings. Bye.